Chapter 14. The Book of Path to Enlightenment. The Philosophy of Cause and Effect. With the teachings of Nama and Rupa, the Lord Buddha claimed that the whole world is a result of cause and effect, known as Hetu Phala Dhamma, based on dependent co-arising cycle. Paticca Samuppada. Let us consider how a tree bears a fruit. What causes the fruit to bear? A set of actions of the roots, trunk, leaves, branches, and the required nutriments all come together to form the fruit. If any one of these actions of the tree does not take place or fails, and the required nutriment is not present, then the tree will not bear a fruit. Are all these components, roots, trunk, leaves, etc., visible in the fruit? No. Was the fruit visible in any of the parts of the tree before the tree bore the fruit? No. The fruit is formed by the required actions of all the above parts of the tree and the required nutriments. What happens to the fruit when we pluck it? It ripens, decays, rots, then disrupts or gets absorbed into the surroundings. However, because of the speed of the arising and passing away of the 8 pure primary elements, we have an illusion of a fruit. When did this thing called the fruit come into being, and how did it happen? Are we able to find a fruit inside the tree before the tree bore fruit? No. There is no fruit inside the trunk, leaves, roots, or in the branches. Neither are any parts of the tree, roots, trunk, branches, leaves, etc. in the fruit. From where did the fruit come? The fruit does not come from anything or place. When the causes required for the bearing of fruit are all present, then the tree bears fruit. This happens without a doer, due to cause and effect. When a burning torch of fire is rotated at a fast pace, we can see a circle of fire. When the rotating is stopped, the cycle of fire is no longer there. It has disappeared with no reminder. Was there a cycle of fire in the torch before the rotation? No. The cause, the rotation, had not as yet arisen. The effect does not lie within the cause. The human body is a creation of the mother and father's getting together. The new body that is created in the effect. With the mother's nutriments, the fetus develops, is born and eventually dies. The entire life is sustained through the nutriments of food. Therefore, the body has many causes of its creation. Before the causes comes together, there is no fetus to be found. After that, over time, the body decays, leaving nothing behind. Therefore, what we see as a body is not a reality. It is an illusion. This illusion happens because of an extremely rapid arising and complete destruction of the 8 pure primary elements. Let us take an example of a table. The table is made by a carpenter using wood, a saw, hammer, nails, polish, etc. The carpenter then performs a set of actions such as sawing of the wood, hammering of the nail, polishing, etc. that results in the table. When all the causes required for the making of the table are present, then the table appears. It naturally disintegrates and disappears after a certain period of time. Within that time period, the table, made up of 8 pure primary elements, is in the process of instantaneous arising and destruction with no reminder. Because of its speed, we are led to believe that there is a table. However, in truth, there is nothing called a table, because before the causes came together, there was no table, and after causes cease, there is no table. Therefore, the table is also an illusion. Similarly, everything in this world comes into being because of the philosophy of cause and effect, and therefore all are illusions as soon as the actions cease, the effect is no longer there. When the fruit or product is destroyed, all these elements are also destroyed. Similarly, all things which are the result of cause and effect vanish as soon as the cause ceases. So everything ends in nothingness. This is the teaching of the Lord Buddha. All things are the result of cause and effect. The fruit or product of the effect that arises without a doer, when all the causes required are present together. When even one of the required causes ceases, then the effect, the product also ceases to exist without a doer, with no reminder. Before the actions required that make up the cause come together. There is no effect or product to be found in any of the causes. The effect does not lie inside the cause. Neither does the cause nor any of the causes reside inside the fruit or product. It ceases to exist after the product or fruit appears. In summary, the philosophy of cause and effect is that a product which is formed when a set of required causes come together will cease to exist without remainder when the causes ceases. You will now have a better understanding of karma, action, and vipaka, the result, as cause and effect. Nothing passes from the cause to effect. We will now test this philosophy to see the appearing and disappearing of seeing. Open your eyes. Eyes form of the color and consciousness come together, resulting in seeing. Close your eyes. Seeing is no longer there. It has disappeared without reminder. Therefore, it is an illusion. Focus on your attention on your ears. The ears, sound, and consciousness comes together, resulting in hearing. When you take your attention away from ears, consciousness is functioning elsewhere. The hearing is no longer sensed. It has disappeared without reminder. Therefore, it is an illusion. Focus on your attention on your nose. Nose, odor, and consciousness come together, resulting in smelling. When you take your attention away from the nose, the smelling is no longer there. It has disappeared without reminder. Therefore, it is an illusion. Focus your attention on your tongue. Tongue, flavor, and consciousness come together, resulting in tasting. When you take your attention away from the tongue, the tasting is no longer there. It has disappeared without reminder. Therefore, it is an illusion. Focus your attention on your body. Body, tactile sensation and consciousness comes together, resulting in feeling. When you take your attention away from your body, the feeling is no longer there. It has disappeared without reminder. Therefore, it is an illusion. Focus your attention on your mind. Brain, thoughts, and consciousness come together, resulting in remembering. When you take your attention away from the mind, the remembering is no longer there. It has disappeared without reminder. Therefore, it is an illusion. All things which are the fruit of cause and effect are illusion. There is nothing existing after the cause and effect ceases to function. So all things and matter on the earth are mere illusions, creation by cause and effect. Keep on inspecting the sense base and examine the resulting sensing until you penetrate this truth. Keep on practicing. You have to feel that all the sensing occurs in the same moment. It disappears in the same moment because of the cause ceases and the effect won't be there. Through your sense, you can identify the cause and effect theory. Keep on doing the meditation until I say concentration declines. Keep on doing. Pay the attention to all the six sense bases. Each and every time you may feel and think it as cause and effect. Let the concentration declines. Now slowly open your eyes. Did anyone of you see anything that was constant when you were meditating? No, there was nothing constant. All actions are there only at the instance it is formed and vanish immediately. There are but illusions created by the shift actions of the mind. Why do we have to work so hard to buy and accumulate all these illusions? Where in this whole world is this being called I? The Lord Buddha claimed that this being called I, or soul, or life, is a creation of the coming together of the five aggregates. Let us examine the composition of the five aggregates for better understanding. Difference in composition of Nam and Rupa and five aggregates. We are unable to identify the purified single mind created by Nam and Rupa because of the ultra high speed of creation and destruction of the mind. We sense or feel something only after several of the kinds of minds combine. Because of the inability to naturally sense the single mind, and also because it requires very high level of concentration that only few persons can reach. The Lord Buddha has introduced the aggregations of several minds and has highlighted only the much more identifiable components of the mind for our observation and understanding. When one seeing, sensing occurs, it does not occur in random or in isolation. Instead, it occurs as phases in a series of discrete cognitive events leading one to the other in a regular and uniform order. This is called Chitta Niyama, which was have introduced in chapter 3. This fixed order of creating, sensing or feeling naturally has 17 different interconnected minds. These are stream of Bhavanga mind, past Bhavanga mind, vibrational Bhavanga mind, arrest Bhavanga mind, 5-door adverting mind, sense consciousness mind, receiving mind, investigating mind, determining mind, 7 Javana minds, 2 registration mind, stream of Bhavanga mind. Other than the stream of Bhavanga mind, there are 17 minds that occur to create a single sensing. This process is a natural phenomenon and act in less than 1 trillionth of a second. Considering this bunch of mind, the most recognizable categories were put together and introduced by the Lord Buddha as the 5 aggregates, known as Panchaskandha. Pancha means the 5, Skandha means aggregates. So 5 aggregates. The fabricating of the mind from intention to fabricated formations. Even though similar terms are used in some of the actions, feeling and perception for Nama and Rupa and the 5 aggregates, they are not necessarily the same. As discussed in previous chapters, the sensing that occurs when Nama Rupa arises in pure and the pure mind of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, body sensation and remembering that arises at the moment of coming together of the causes is known as Prabhasa Chitta. As we cannot observe the pure mind resulting from Nama and Rupa, the Buddha grouped together several sets of actions so that we could observe the arising and passing away of the 5 aggregates. The intention or Chetana in Nama Rupa is a result, vipaka, of past karma and not constructed or fabricated by skillful or unskillful karma. We will address fabrication by unskillful thoughts, defilements to observe this change. The term fabricated formation or sankhara is used after the mind is corrupted by desire and unskillful thoughts. What changes have taken place in the mind when several set of repeated actions, several minds have been aggregated? Both perception, distinguishing seeing from sound, smelling, tasting, etc., and feeling, distinguishing feeling as likable, not likable, or neutral, is pure in nama rupa. Even a fully awakened being can distinguish a feeling as likable, not likable, or neutral. They do not, however, fabricate the pure feeling with attachment and desire, which result in fabricated formation. One day, the Lord Buddha was seeking his midday meal with bowl in hand when a recluse named Bahya stopped him, bowed down, and requested the teaching that leads to awakening. The Buddha, seeing with his compassionate eye that the man had a little time to live, spoke only a few words, but his words contained the crux of his teaching. He said, "In your seeing, there should be only seeing. In your hearing, nothing but hearing. In your smelling, tasting, touching, nothing but smelling, tasting, touching. In your remembering, nothing but remembering." As discussed previously, in nama rupa, when each of the 5 sensing organs other than the brain is functioning, it creates a thought within the respective organ. This thought then becomes the outside or external thought for the brain. These pure thoughts arise in the 5 sense organs are referred to as Chittaja Rupa in Pali. This then recalls similar or relevant material from the brain, resulting in remembering. This thought and the first resulting remembering, used for identification as sound as opposed to smell, taste, or seeing, that occurs in pure and is known as Prabhasara Chitta. However, in addition to remembering, the brain has the special ability to construct thoughts within the brain. These thoughts or actions of the brain are referred to as the thinking and are fabricated with conditioned perceptions that have identified the form and evaluated it as being pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. This takes place during the 7 jhana minds. When contact occurs through any of the 6 sense bases of sensory experience, there should be no valuation based on desire and conditioned perception. Once perception starts evaluating any experience as pleasant or unpleasant with desire. One sees the world in the distorted way. In order to free the mind from all conditioning, one must stop evaluating on the basis of past fabrications recalled from memory and be aware, without evaluating and without any constructed thoughts. We do this by observing the experiencing the five aggregates as they really are: impermanence and selflessness, and it is under suffering. Now we understand what are the five aggregates. The aggregates of form, it is known as Rupa Skandha, made up of the 8 pure primary elements: image or color, eye, sound and ear, smell and nose, taste and tongue, tactile sensation and body, and thoughts and the brain are known as the form aggregate. Then the aggregate of feeling, known as Vedana Skandha, identifies and selects the nature of feeling as pleasant, unpleasant or neutral. Then the third aggregate of perception, that is known as Sanya Skandha. It identifies the type of object based on image, sound, smell, flavor, tactile sensation, thoughts. Then the fourth one, the aggregate of fabricated formation, that is known as Sankara Skandha. Those fabricated formation known as thinking, verbalizing and doing, or actions, body actions. Those three main actions: mental actions, verbal actions and body actions. Then the fifth one is aggregation of consciousness. This is known as Vijnana Skandha. Any one of these set of actions generated within the 6 sense organs are known as Vijnana Skandha. That is Chakku Vijnana, Sota Vijnana, Gahana Vijnana, Jivha Vijnana, Kaya Vijnana and Mano Vijnana. Let us consider the composition of these 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perception, fabrication and consciousness. This set of actions, when they arise as a set together, is referred to as the actions of the mind of a being. Let us consider the mind. We know that the mind is created within the coming together of the consciousness, sensing organ and the external object relevant to the organ. The Buddha claimed that a living being has 89 different minds. We will examine the arising and passing away of six of the minds. Six of the 9 minds occur as the result effecting of sensing. 3 occurs as the result affecting of thinking, verbalizing, or doing. The formation of 5 aggregates when seeing occurs. We use our eyes to see. The color or image that we see and the eyes are made up of 8 pure primary elements, and they represent the aggregate of matter or form, Rupa Skandha. When we see, feeling arises. The feeling could be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. This feeling represents the aggregates of feeling, Vedana Skandha. When we see, we have perception related to what we saw. We may identify the object as a car of a particular make and model. This perception represents the aggregation of perception, Sanya Skandha. When we see something and we think about what we have seen, then that is the aggregation of fabricated formation, Sankara Skandha. To see, there has to be consciousness functioning in the eye. This is Chakku Vijnana, and it represents the aggregate of consciousness, Vijnana Skandha. The 5 aggregates, Pancha Skandha, are present when we see something. Similarly, all of our other ways of sensing, hearing, smelling, tasting, tactile sensation, and remembering can be observed as the arising of the 5 aggregates. The formation of 5 aggregates when thinking, verbalizing, or doing. We use our brain to think. The brain and thoughts are made up of the 8 pure primary elements, and they represent the aggregate of Rupa Skandha. When thinking, feeling that are pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral arise in the mind. This represents the aggregate of feeling, Vedana Skandha. When we think, we have perception related to our thoughts. This perception represents the aggregate of perception, Sanya Skandha. Thinking is an action performed by the brain. This is the aggregate of fabrication, Sankara Skandha. To think, we need to have consciousness function in the brain. This is referred to as Mano Vijnana, and it represents the aggregate of consciousness, Vijnana Skandha. All 5 aggregates are present when we think. Thinking results in the formation of the 5 aggregates, Panchas Skandha. All actions of thinking can be considered as the arising of 5 aggregates. When we talk or verbalize our thoughts, we need to move our mouth and throat to create the sound. The mouth, throat, and the sound are the creation of the 8 elements. They represent the aggregate of form, Rupa Skandha. When speaking, feeling arises. The feeling could be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. This feeling represents the aggregate of feeling, Vedana Skandha. We may have a perception when we speak. It is a perception based on sound. This represents the aggregate of perception, Sanya Skandha. When we are speaking, we move our mouth, which is considered as an action of the body. Speaking is the aggregate of fabrication, formation, Sankara Skandha. To speak, we need to have consciousness function in our mouth. This is Kaya Vijnana, and it represents the aggregate of consciousness, Vijnana Skandha. The 5 aggregates are all present when we speak. Speaking results in the formation of the 5 aggregates. Similarly, all the actions that result in speech can be considered as the arising of the 5 aggregates. Let us consider the action of the body next. We will use the example of lifting the arm. The arm is created by the 8 elements, so it represents the aggregate of form, Rupa Skandha. When we lift our arm, feeling arises. The feeling could be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. This feeling represents the aggregate of feeling, Vedana Skandha. We may have a perception when we lift the arm. It is a perception of or image of an arm that has been raised. This image represents the aggregation of perception, Sanya Skandha. When we lift our arm, we are having movement or action of the body. This represents the aggregate of fabrication, Sankara Skandha. To lift the arm, we need to have consciousness function in our arm. This is Kaya Vijnana, and it represents the aggregate of consciousness, Vijnana Skandha. The 5 aggregates are all present when we lift our arm. The lifting of our arm results in the formation of the 5 aggregates. Similarly, all of the actions of the body can be considered as the formation of the 5 aggregates. We just examined 9 different actions common to all beings that result in the formation of the 5 aggregates. These are the 6 actions or minds that resulting in sensing and the thinking, verbalizing, and actions done by the body. With this reflection and knowledge, we are able to get a clear confirmation of what the Lord Buddha realized and disclosed. There is no human being, alien, or celestial being responsible for or creating this formation. These sets of actions are arising or coming to being due to certain causes and effects. We know that all of the aggregates are impermanent. All of them come together in a given moment of sensing, thinking, verbalizing, doing, etc., and are completely destroyed with no reminder. From this knowledge, we can clearly identify that there is no living creature any place inside this body. Nothing can be identified and referred to as me, he, she, I, mother, father, daughter, son, etc. From this, we have to surmise that there is no such categorization or differentiation of being as humans, animals, or any other beings. Fundamentally, it is just a set of actions. Therefore, there is nothing substantial to desire, protect, or resent with anger. No one can change this process that is referred to as the absolute truth of not self, anatta. Attempts to change the natural process of cause and effect without clear understanding and knowledge of its operation would be a waste of our time and energy. The Buddha used this metaphor to describe the lack of substance in these five aggregates. Pena pindupamam rupam vedana bubbulupama marici mupama sanya sankara kathalupama ma yupamaca viññānam dīpita dicca banduna. In that Pali discourse, the Rupa Skandha is described as the form aggregate, as a fourth or spume. Then the Vedana or aggregate of feeling described as air bubble in water. Then the Sanya Skandha, the aggregate of perception, described as a mirage. Sankara Skandha, the aggregate of fabricated formation, as the core of the trunk of a banana tree. Then the Viññāna Skandha, the aggregate of consciousness, described as the illusions or magic created by a magician. What we have to understand is that the Buddha has stated very clearly that all these aggregates are impermanent, without substance, a mirage of no value, an illusion, and just a collection of certain actions. We are in a misguided delusion of thinking that there exist humans, animals, gods, etc. Now we have to understand the 10 fetters, or known as Dasa Samyojana. The fetters are unwholesome mental factors which bind beings to the round of existence with the arising of the 5 aggregates. These 10 fetters are divided into 2 categories. The first 5 fetters are known as the lower fetters, and the second 5 fetters are higher fetters. Wrong view, doubt, adherence to rites and ceremonies, sensual lust, aversion, those are lower fetters. Then attachment to fine material existence, attachment to immaterial existence, conceit, restlessness, ignorance are the higher fetters. Now you can understand that there is no self-view in the five aggregates and no doubt about personal existence, because you know that the five aggregates are only a set of actions that arises and pass away without a doer. There is no one to adhere to rites and ceremonies. This is the first three fetters that bind you to samsara. If these three fetters are abundant by understanding the Dhamma, then you will be able to attain stream entrance. Sotapanna. Meditation on the formation of the five aggregates. If we can identify and observe the operation of the five aggregates, then we can work towards the ending or abandoning of re-becoming or rebirth by mindfully concentrating on this arising and coming together formation of aggregates. One can realize enlightenment. You can mindfully meditate now, considering all of your actions: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, body feeling, remembering, doing or working, verbalizing, and thinking as the arising and passing away of the five aggregates. You can do this meditation at any time, any place, in any position. You have to develop this meditation until you have complete understanding and every action is automatically known and identified as the appearance of the five aggregates. In the beginning of this book, we considered the birth of a living being as an appearance of the aggregates, skandha, and the sense base, ayatana. Whenever there is ayatana or sense base, there is skandha or aggregates as contact with external objects results in the formation of aggregation or skandha. This is the birth of a being. So we have to clearly understand that. The Buddha clearly mentioned the birth is generation of aggregates in a sense base. Our goal or mission is to stop abandoning rebirth or re-becoming. It is clear now what to stop rebirth or re-becoming. One has to stop the formation of aggregates in the six sense bases. When we feel something from the sensing area, what happens? It is the birth of a new being. What happens when the feeling is instantly destroyed? it is the death of the being. This is what we refer to as instantaneous death of the being within every feeling or sensing. If a person feels or senses something in that moment, he discovers the world. If the feeling or sensing is not there, then the entire world has disappeared. It has vanished. Therefore, the arising of aggregates in sensing is the creation of the world. It is the birth of the being. It is the creation of a mind. It is a creation of Nama Rupa. We can now come to a conclusion that the entire universe is created at the moment of sensing and destroyed instantly. The entire world is only just an instantaneous aggregation of actions. That is the impermanence, emptiness, nothing remains from aggregates, and not self cannot be controlled of the universe. This true understanding about the entire universe is the cessation of re-becoming or stepping out of the universe. This is the cessation of delusion. Arising and passing away of the five aggregates when breathing. Finally, you can use this knowledge to meditate on breathing awareness. A very subtle feeling occurs in the nostril or upper lip when the in and out breath flows through the nose. We now observe and consider this feeling as the five aggregate and consider the impermanence of the breath. When you feel the beginning of the in-breath at your nostril, think it as arising. Then keep concentrating on the in-breath until it stops. Then think of it as destroyed. Similarly, when your out-breath begins, think it as arising. Then keep on concentrating on the out-breath until it stops. Then think of it as destroyed. This is the arising of five aggregates and destruction or destroying of the five aggregates. When you do this for a certain period of time, you may come to a stage that the in-breath and the out-breath becomes shorter and subtle, and you are unable to feel the beginning and the end of the breath. When you reach this stage, just think impermanence. Carry out this exercise for a certain period of time and discuss the outcomes with your meditation instructor for further clarification. At the end, now in this book there are several meditation practices has been introduced. summarizing those meditation practice that you have to frequently practice. Meditation that you have to practice frequently. Number 1, mindfulness on breathing awareness. Number 2, mindfulness on 32 body parts. Number 3, mindfulness on object forming 8 elements. Number 4, mindfulness on impurities of body. Number 5, mindfulness on loving kindness. Number 6, mindfulness on mind. Number 7, mindfulness on how the mind is created. Number 8, mindfulness on mind as Nama Rupa. Number 9, mindfulness on mind as cause and effect. Then number 10, mindfulness on mind and acts as 5 aggregates. Number 11, mindfulness on respiration as 5 aggregates of impermanence. You now have the knowledge required to realize the ultimate truth, the Nibbana. You know what needs to be done to realize Nibbana, why it needs to be done, and how it needs to be done. What needs to be done? The abandoning of rebecoming or rebirth. Why it needs to be done? Because of the suffering of birth and the suffering resulting from birth. How it needs to be done? Eliminating of mental formation, chitta sankara, verbal formation, vaci sankara, and body actions, kaya sankara. Eliminating of unwholesome acts, akusala karma, and wholesome act, punya karma, and developing kusala karma, clever actions. Eliminating lobha, greed, dosa, hate, and moha, delusion, and developing non-greed, non-hate, and wisdom. Developing jhana, right concentration to subdue hindrance so that wisdom, insight can arise. Penetrating the truth of form, rupa, it is impermanence, suffering, emptiness, and selflessness. Penetrating the truth of nama, consciousness, it is also impermanence, emptiness or suffer, and selflessness. Penetrating the truth of cause and effect, that is dependent, co-arising, hetu phala. Penetrating the truth of mind as a aggregation of 5 aggregates, it also in the state of impermanence, anicca, dukkha, suffers, anatta, selflessness. You may get the theoretical knowledge from reading, or listening to the appropriate Dhamma talks. However, it is only through appropriate practice that you will be able to realize purity, perfection, and enlightenment. For this, you need clear instructions from an experienced teacher and your doubts and questions resolved before starting the meditation. You also need to practice the meditation with guidance first, so as to have the confidence to practice individually by yourself later. This requires a good teacher who has experienced the truth. Are you ready to traverse the path to enlightenment and step out of the universe?